Lena, you think you're worthy of sitting at this family's table? Or are you just good enough to be our waitress? My older sister, Cassandra, 32, roared, her voice sharp as a dagger, slicing through the humid air of our family's 4th of July barbecue in the backyard of our old Victorian home in Savannah, Georgia. I, Lena, 28, stood frozen, clutching the hand-stitched quilts I'd spent months crafting for each family member. Her words hit like a slap, my heart twisting in agony. The scent of fried shrimp, candied yams, and magnolia blossoms mingled with the twang of country music, but the mocking laughter from the picnic table, where every seat was taken, even by my cousin Derek, who'd swindled my college fund, made me tremble with humiliation. All eyes were on me, yet no one spoke in my defense. I locked eyes with Cassandra, her gaze glittering with contempt. "Check under your plate," I said, my voice icy despite the fire raging in my chest. I stormed out, slamming the garage door, the wood's thud echoing like a declaration. My phone lit up. Mama's name, Papa's shouts in the background, but I let it ring, my heart bleeding. The backyard was a vibrant, patriotic tableau, with American flags fluttering, fairy lights strung across ancient oaks, and the clink of sweet tea glasses in the sticky air. Cassandra, a rising real estate agent, lounged in a wicker chair, her red-painted nails glinting under the lights. "You think you're worthy of sitting at this family's table? Or are you just good enough to be our waitress?" she repeated, her voice dripping with scorn, cutting through the lively chatter. Laughter spread, not loud, but sharp as a blade, stabbing my pride. Mama fumbled with her tea, her eyes averted, her hands trembling as if to hide her shame. Papa coughed, his gaze glued to his phone, a fleeting grimace crossing his face before fading. No one stood up. No one looked at me, as if I were a ghost haunting the celebration. I was a freelance graphic designer, pouring my heart and savings into keeping this family afloat. The quilts in my arms, each a work of art with patterns of Savannah's marshes, rivers, and oaks, were more than gifts. They were a silent plea. See me. Include me as family. I'd hoped, foolishly, that this year they'd see Lena, the sister, the daughter, not Lena, the ATM. "Right," I muttered, swallowing the searing pain in my throat, fighting back tears. I scanned the table. Every seat taken, even Derek's, who'd borrowed my college savings for a crypto scam and never repaid. He sat there, sipping beer, joking as if he'd done no wrong. "Cassandra," I called, forcing calm into my voice, though my heart pounded. She raised an eyebrow, her mocking smile fixed. "Check under your plate." The backyard fell silent, a suffocating hush enveloping us, as if the world held its breath. Cassandra hesitated, her eyes flicking to the crowd before lifting her plate. A sealed white envelope was taped beneath. Her hands shook as she tore it open, scanning the contents. Her smug grin vanished, her face paling as if she'd seen a ghost. "What is this?" she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. Mama leaned in, curious, but Cassandra clutched the paper to her chest as if it held a secret that could destroy her. "You explain it to everyone," I said, my voice cutting, turning on my heel. "Happy 4th." I marched to the garage, gasps, frantic whispers, and scraping chairs trailing me. My phone buzzed, Mama, Papa, Cassandra, but I climbed into my beat-up Honda, hands trembling on the wheel. I didn't start the car right away. I sat in the garage's stifling darkness, trying to breathe, to hold back the tears threatening to spill. My mind was a storm, pain, rage, and a deep, gnawing loneliness. Why, I asked myself, why am I always the one pushed out? I drove aimlessly through Savannah's oak-lined streets, Spanish moss dangling like curtains hiding the truth. Notifications piled up, but I wasn't ready to face them. This wasn't just about the barbecue. It was the culmination of years as the family's ATM, bailing them out while they trampled my dignity. When Cassandra's boutique failed, I paid her rent for 6 months. When Derek went bankrupt from his crypto scams, I covered his debts, even though he'd stolen my college dreams. When Mama and Papa couldn't manage the mortgage on this Victorian house, I drained my savings, worked nights, skipped art residencies, vacations, and my own aspirations to keep their home intact. But to them, I was nothing. A failure when I couldn't give more, a shadow in their family story. My phone rang again. "Mama." I hesitated, my finger hovering over the screen, then answered, my voice sharp as a blade. "You're calling now? Lena, please, come back," Mama pleaded, her voice breaking, nearly sobbing. "We didn't mean it. Cassandra was just upset." "Upset?" I laughed, a bitter, raw sound that tore at my chest. She said I wasn't worthy of sitting with the family, Mama. Said I'm only good enough to be your waitress. You sat there, watched me be humiliated, and said nothing. It was just a joke, Mama said weakly, as if convincing herself. A joke? I shouted, tears finally spilling, hot on my cheeks. No, Mama, it wasn't a joke. It never is. It's how this family treats me. Like garbage, like an outsider. Papa muttered in the background, his voice low but unclear. You and Papa didn't say a word, not one to defend me. Lena, come home, Mama begged. We'll talk, we'll fix this. Home? I roared, my voice cracking with pain. That's not my home. It's a place I visit to be humiliated, to be reminded I'm nothing. I hung up, tossing the phone onto the seat, rage erupting like a wildfire. Years of suppressed resentment, of lying to myself that this was family love, surged like a tidal wave. I turned the car around, tires screeching. I wasn't running. I was going back, even if it tore me apart. I stormed into the backyard, the party frozen. Mama's eyes were red, tears glistening under the lights. Papa stood with arms crossed, his face taut, trying to maintain calm. Cassandra leaned against the grill, her eyes flashing defiance, but I saw a flicker of panic. Back for more drama? She sneered, her voice trembling as if masking fear. No, I shot back, my voice like steel. For answers. Explain, Cassandra. Why am I the family's joke? Why am I always the failure, the one pushed out? Papa sighed, his voice low. Lena, don't blow this out of proportion. Cassandra was joking. Joking? I screamed, my chest ready to burst. This isn't just tonight. It's years of me paying your bills, covering Cassandra's failures, bailing Derek out of his debts. I've been your bank, your fixer, but when I can't give enough, I'm useless, disposable. Cassandra scoffed, but her smile was forced. Nobody forced you to do anything, Lena. Don't play the saint. Forced? I laughed, a wild, bitter sound that clawed at my heart. You expected it, Cassandra. You leaned on me, the whole family leaned on me, but no one saw the cost. No one saw the nights I stayed up, calculating how much I could give without losing my home. No one saw the dreams I buried to keep this family together. I turned to Mama and Papa, tears streaming, but my voice steady. You encouraged it. Called me the responsible one, the reliable daughter, but when I needed someone to stand up, to say I was worthy, you all turned away. Stop yelling, Papa muttered, his eyes averted. You're making a scene, Lena. A scene? I ran to the car, yanking bags of gifts from the trunk. I threw them at Cassandra's feet, the bags spilling. Quilts, books, trinkets I'd spent hours choosing, each a piece of my soul. Here, take them, the gifts you didn't even think I brought. Cassandra's wife, Elise, stood at the yard's edge, her face pale, her hands clenched as if restraining herself. You didn't even check the car, I shouted, my voice breaking. You just assumed I was worthless, not worthy of a seat. Mama's voice trembled, tears falling. Lena, it's the 4th. Please, calm down. We're family. Calm down? I laughed, the sound like a knife cutting my own heart. Family? Families don't treat each other like this. I'm done. Done being your bank, your punching bag, done pretending this is a family. I stepped back, heart pounding, breath ragged. No one spoke. The air was heavy like before a storm. Then Cassandra, her voice small, tried to sneer to regain control. Fine. Leave, Lena. You always run away. I stopped, turning to face her, my eyes blurred with tears, but my voice cold. I never ran away, Cassandra. I was just too blind to see how little I meant to you all. I slammed the garage door, the sound a final goodbye. I drove off, tears blurring my vision, my heart heavy as stone. I wasn't just leaving their house. I was leaving a life where I'd given everything, only to be met with contempt. For 2 days, silence. No calls, no texts. I sat in my small apartment, staring at the Savannah River's shimmer, wondering if they realized how deeply they'd hurt me. Part of me, the naive, wounded part, hoped they'd apologize, see my worth. But the other part, scarred and wiser, knew it was a fantasy. I tormented myself. Why did I let them treat me this way? Why didn't I stop sooner? Each memory of sacrifice, sleepless nights, buried dreams, cut like a knife. I'd given too much, but it was never enough. I felt like a hollow shell, filled only with pain and emptiness. On the 3rd morning, the doorbell shattered the silence. Cassandra stood there, eyes bloodshot, her face twisted with rage and desperation. You need to stop this, Lena, she shouted, shoving past me into the apartment. You can't cut us off like this. Cut you off? I leaned against the kitchen counter, fighting to stay calm as anger boiled. You mean stop being your personal ATM? She glared, her voice rising, nearly breaking. You've always helped us. You can't stop just because of one fight. One fight? I laughed dryly, my voice trembling with resentment. You said I wasn't worthy of the family table, Cassandra. Said I'm only good for serving you. Now you want me to keep paying your bills? Figure it out yourself. You're destroying us, she screamed, slamming her hand on the counter, the sound making a glass rattle. Elise is freaking out. The kids are crying for toys and gifts. Mama and Papa are losing it. You know this, but you're doing it anyway. They lost their free ride, I retorted, my voice ice cold. No more Lena to bleed dry. You only think of yourself. Cassandra exploded, her face flushed. We're family. Families help each other, Lena. You can't turn your back on us. Help? I stepped forward, my voice shaking with rage and pain. I paid for your kids' school, your rent, even your mortgage when you and Elise couldn't manage. I've been more of a parent to those kids than you, Cassandra. But did you ever ask what it cost me? Did you ever see what I gave up? Her fists clenched, nails digging into her palms. You think you're better than me, don't you? The saint, the hero? No, I said, my voice low, each word sharp as a blade. I'm just tired of being used. I grabbed my phone, pulling up screenshots from Elise's lawyer, bank statements, secret accounts, undeniable proof. Gambling, Cassandra. Fancy dinners, 5-star hotel stays. My money, tens of thousands, gone, while I thought I was helping your kids eat, have clothes. Her face went white, her eyes wide with panic. You went through my accounts? Elise did, I said, shoving the phone in her face. She found everything. Statements, hidden accounts, all of it. Explain it. Thousands of my dollars thrown away on casinos, on things you hid from everyone. You turned Elise against me, she screamed, lunging at me, her nails clawing my shirt. You think you can walk away? You owe me, Lena. You owe this family. I pushed her back. She stumbled, hitting the counter. Family? I shouted, tears spilling, unstoppable. Families don't steal. They don't lie. They don't call you a failure when you can't give more. Get out, Cassandra. Get out of my house now. I'll tell Mama and Papa, she sneered, but her voice shook, her eyes gleaming with fear. You'll be the outcast, Lena, not me. Go ahead, I laughed coldly, though my heart ached. When Elise's lawyer sends the evidence to court, when the family sees what you've done, you'll be the one who destroyed us, not me. Her eyes widened, fear flooding her face. Last chance, I said, pointing to the door, my voice deadly. Get out or I call the cops. She stood there, breathing heavily, then bolted, slamming the door so hard a picture frame rattled. I slid to the floor, breaths ragged, adrenaline fading into a painful void. My phone buzzed, a text from Elise. Thank you. I couldn't face her alone. The kids are okay, thanks to you. Relief and sorrow twisted together. I'd lost my sister, but maybe I'd never truly had her. The weight I'd carried for years lifted, but the silence in my small apartment felt like a reminder. I'm alone. I've always been alone. On the 4th day, pounding on the door like thunder. Cassandra, on the porch, her face twisted with rage, eyes red as blood. Open the door, you coward, she screamed. I opened it, leaning against the frame, trying to stay calm, though my heart raced. Make it quick. You think you can abandon us? Let this family fall apart because of your tantrum? She yelled, shoving me aside to barge in, her nails jabbing at my chest. You're ruining everything, Lena. No, I said, closing the door, my voice cold. I'm taking back what you stole from me. Stole? She laughed, a hollow, near-mad sound. You gave that money, Lena, over and over. You loved playing the hero, loved feeling needed. Don't pretend to be the victim. I loved my family, I corrected, stepping closer, my voice trembling with rage and pain. But you're not family. You're a user, Cassandra. You took my money, my trust, and threw it all into casinos. I pulled up the evidence again. Bank statements, secret accounts. You thought I wouldn't find out? Thought Elise wouldn't see? Tens of thousands of my hard-earned money wasted on gambling, on lavish trips, while I thought I was keeping your kids fed, your home safe. Her face paled, her hands shaking. You don't know anything. You don't understand the pressure I was under. Pressure? I shouted, my voice breaking. You talk about pressure? I worked nights, gave up my dreams, my life, to help you. I lived in fear of losing my home, of not having enough to survive, just so you could blow my money on slot machines. You don't get to talk about pressure. You and Elise betrayed me, she screamed, lunging, grabbing my shoulders, her nails tearing my shirt. You think you can walk away, leave me with the wreckage? You owe me, Lena. You owe this family. I broke free, pushing her back. She hit the table, knocking a coffee mug to the floor, shattering it. Get out, I roared, my voice like thunder. Get out of my house, or I call the police right now. She froze, her eyes flickering with fear and rage, then fled, the door slamming behind her. I sank into a chair, hands covering my face, breaths ragged. The pain, the betrayal, the torment. Have I gone too far? Was I right to cut them off? Tore at my soul, but my phone buzzed. Elise, she's gone. The kids are safe. Thank you, Lena. You saved us. I stared at the message, tears falling. I hadn't just saved Elise and the kids. I was trying to save myself. On the 5th day, a car screeched into my driveway. Mama and Papa burst out, Cassandra trailing, her face twisted with rage and desperation. Mama rushed me, wrapping me in a tear-soaked hug, her tears wetting my shirt. Lena, please, don't do this, she sobbed, her voice breaking. Don't destroy everything. Destroy? I pulled away, crossing my arms, my voice cold, though my heart shattered. Ask Cassandra where my money went. Ask her what she did with everything I sacrificed. It's not like that, Cassandra shouted, stepping forward, her hands trembling. You're twisting everything, Lena. Then tell them, I said, arms crossed, my gaze sharp as a blade. Tell the truth, if you dare. She looked at Mama and Papa, her lips trembling, her eyes brimming. I had no choice, she whispered, her voice breaking. I thought I could win big, fix everything. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. Gambling? Mama gasped, stepping back, hands covering her mouth as if struck. Cassandra, no. You couldn't. I tried to stop, Cassandra sobbed, collapsing onto the lawn, hands covering her face. I thought Lena would keep helping. I thought I could fix it before anyone knew. You used me, I shouted, tears streaming, my voice shaking with pain. You took my money, my trust, and threw it into casinos. You lied to the family, to Elise, to your kids. I turned to Mom and Papa, my voice breaking. And you let her treat me like garbage, like I wasn't worthy. I gave everything, money, time, dreams, but you never saw me. Papa stepped forward, his voice low but trembling. Lena, enough. You're tearing this family apart. No, I whispered, tears falling but my voice steady, a final declaration. This family tore itself apart. I'm just done paying for everyone's mistakes. I pulled out a thick folder, receipts, statements, every penny I'd spent. $48,000 poured into this family. Pay it back, Cassandra, I said, tossing the folder to the ground. Every cent or I'll sue you for fraud. You're bluffing, Cassandra screamed, but her voice cracked, her eyes filled with fear. Try me, I said, throwing a legal letter onto the table, a lawyer's ultimatum. 2 weeks or court. Elise's testimony will bury you, Cassandra, and the family will see who you really are. Mama grabbed my arm, sobbing. Lena, she's your sister. You can't destroy her. You can't destroy this family. No, I whispered, my voice soft but resolute like a vow. She destroyed herself, and I'm done paying the price for your betrayal. I turned inside, slamming the door, the woods thud a full stop. Mama's cries, Cassandra's screams, Papa's attempts to intervene faded behind the thick walls, mere echoes of a life I'd chosen to leave behind. 6 weeks later, I sat on my apartment balcony, the Savannah River shimmering under the dawn. The cool air carried the salt of nearby marshes, but my heart remained heavy. Cassandra didn't pay immediately. She begged, threatened, sent tearful texts, then used Mama and Papa to pressure me. Mama called daily, leaving desperate voicemails. Lena, you're my blood. Don't turn your back on family. Papa emailed, his tones stern but laced with desperation. You're tearing apart everything we built. Stop this, Lena. But I didn't waver. I'd given them too much, and the cost was myself. I tormented myself nightly. Am I too selfish? Too cruel for cutting them off? Memories of family, laughing over dinners, hugging Cassandra's kids, Mama's embraces, cut like knives. But then I recalled the humiliations, the cutting words, the looks that branded me disposable. I couldn't go back. I couldn't keep living as a shadow, sacrificing everything for half-hearted love. The legal letter's pressure worked. 2 weeks later, the first $10,000 hit my account. Cassandra sold her SUV, her jewelry collection, and took a hefty bank loan. Smaller payments followed, each a battle, angry calls, threatening texts, tearful pleas. But I held firm. 3 weeks ago, the final payment, $48,000, cleared. Every cent I'd poured into them, every drop of sweat and tears, returned. I felt no triumph, no joy in victory, only liberation, a lightness tinged with deep sorrow. I'd lost my family, not because I left, but because they'd never truly seen me as part of it. Elise texted regularly, updating me on the kids. They're okay. The divorce is final. Without Cassandra, we found peace. Thank you, Lena. I smiled, a quiet pride stirring. I hadn't just helped Elise and the kids. I'd helped myself. Mama still texted daily, her tone growing more desperate. Lena, talk to me. I miss you. We can fix this. I read each message, my finger hovering, but didn't reply. Not because I hated Mama or Papa or even Cassandra, but because I'd finally learned to love myself, enough to let go of relationships that only brought pain. One morning, the doorbell rang, pulling me from my thoughts. I opened it to find Aunt Clara, Mama's sister, holding a homemade peach pie, its sweet aroma filling the air. Thought I'd check on you, she said, her warm smile like Savannah's sunshine. You've missed too many barbecues. I brought a bit of the 4th to you. I laughed, inviting her in, my heart lighter. Just you? Just us, she said, setting the pie on the table. I heard what happened, Lena. Not from them, but I know how they are. They'll never change. But you did the right thing. We sat, sipping coffee, and I poured out everything. The years of sacrifice, the betrayals, the final confrontation that shattered it all. I spoke of the nights I lay awake, questioning if I was worthy of love, if I was wrong to demand justice. Aunt Clara listened, never judging, never interrupting, only holding my hand when my voice trembled. When I finished, she looked at me, her eyes gentle but firm. Lena, you didn't just take back your money, you took back yourself. And that's the most precious thing. As she left, she hugged me tightly, whispering, You are enough, Lena. Never forget that. I stood at the door watching her drive away, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel alone. My small apartment, once a prison of pain, now felt like a sanctuary, a place where I could be me, without anyone's permission. I stepped onto the balcony, watching the sunrise paint the Savannah River gold, its shimmer a promise. I reflected on my journey, from a girl who believed love meant giving everything, to a woman who realized true love begins with self. For years, I'd lived in fear. Fear of not being loved, of being abandoned, of not being enough. I'd given everything, thinking it would earn me a place. But I was wrong. Love isn't self-destruction. Love is respect for others and most importantly for oneself. That morning, I made a choice. I enrolled in an art residency in Charleston, a dream I'd buried for them. But that wasn't all. I took a piece of paper and wrote a letter. Not to anyone else, but to myself. Lena, thank you for being brave enough to let go. Thank you for choosing yourself. I folded the letter, placing it in a small box with old sketches, dreams I'd once thought impossible. That box wasn't a grave for the past, but a reminder. I'd survived, and I'd keep living, not for anyone else, but for me. I looked at the river, feeling the cool breeze caress my face. For the first time, I saw my reflection in the water. Not a faint shadow, not a victim of betrayal, but a whole, strong, free woman. Liberation wasn't just cutting ties with family. It was finding myself, learning to love myself, and realizing I didn't need anyone's validation to know my worth. I smiled, a true smile, and stepped into the new day. Not to fix the past, but to paint my own future.